Hello, everyone. Welcome to another conversation, authentic conversation with Adele Bernard. I'm your host, Adele, and just a little bit about who I am and what I do. So, it's all about bringing you into who you really are, walking you home to the authentic self of who you are. And as the times are changing super, super fast right now, at the time of this recording, we are on the cusp of the spring equinox, which has its own changes and challenges. And at Transition Clarity, which is the company that supports this podcast, we're here to hold space for you in transition. We hold sacred circles for men and women separately, and it's all about walking you home to let go of the beliefs, the conditionings, and truths that you've been told you are and you are not. And this has been a lifelong journey that I've been on work wise, and it's my passion, it's my dream to help everyone come home to who they truly are, living their life through their heart rather than their head, trusting their gut, and knowing that you're never alone, that God is with you if you don't believe in God, source, but we're never alone. We always have a higher power to listen to, and that's called the high heart. And if you want to know more, my information will be in the notes. But more importantly, I want you to enjoy these conversations. I want you to subscribe to the channel and like and share with your friends because this work and the people that I guess that I have on the show, um, are important. Not everyone's allowed on the show. I bring people that I think are sharing work that they do that is very crucial for this time. And it's all about the transition and how you're making it through the transition. So, once again, please subscribe, like, and share with your friends. And now to our guest. It is my pleasure and honor to have Denise Cambiotti. She is the founder of Muscle Tuners International and is widely recognized as an expert in holistic health and wellness. She specializes in identifying and resolving muscular imbalances and dysfunction. With a diverse skill set encompassing muscle testing, acupressure, and energy work, Denise empowers her clients to overcome pain, restore balance, and optimize their physical performance. She also, every person can improve their overall health using simple methods that help reset your energy. So, and all her information will be in the show notes as well. And with that, let's bring Denise onto the show. Okay, here she is. Denise, welcome to the show.
Hi, Adele.
Hi. So, we've already done the pre talk. Everyone knows who you are. It'll be in the show notes, getting the housekeeping out of the way. So, I want to know, how did Denise end up in her transitions being in the Muscle Tuners International and doing the work you do?
Can I ask why you're curious?
Well, because I like the background of where you were to how you became who you are today.
Okay. When I
Yeah.
was a little girl, people used to come to the house all the time and say, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" I didn't have a clue. I actually never had a clue until I was about 27, 28 years old.
Okay.
And, at that time, I had a stay at home mom. I saw women being secretaries, librarians, um, nurses.
Hmm.
I was kind of kept at home a lot. So I didn't get out in the world seeing women doing cool stuff. But I was reading books and about Madame Curie, and
Mhm.
women were doing groovy stuff. And anybody that doesn't know about Madame Curie needs to find out about her. So women in science and all that. My older brothers and sisters made sure I had resource materials, and I was reading books about uh, responsible kids doing amazing things,
Mhm.
and I learned through reading. Anyways, finally, I'm working in northern Alberta. I'm literally working at an office in an oil field, and we're driving out at early o'clock to get to work. I think we started at 6.
Yeah.
I mean, that's out of my brain now. I haven't been there for about 30 years, but 35, 36 years. But it was really early. So there, it was an hour's drive to get out there. So get into the van and then sit there like this. And eventually it felt quick in the neck that was pretty intolerable. And I said, okay, I'm going to have to give in and go see that guy in town. At that time, people still looked at chiropractors as being quacks.
Yeah.
And I'm just going, they work on the spine, and I've got a spine related thing. Let's go give it a try. So I walk in. His assistant does this thing called muscle testing. Didn't tell me it was muscle testing. I didn't know what was happening. She's saying, stick your arm out like this. And it would, I'm like, come on, try and hold. It's like, no. My inside voice was going, you could be better than that. This side was like, oh, you know what you're doing. So she's putting my arms and my legs in all these positions and pushing on them. And she wasn't pushing very hard. And it was some were easy to hold and some weren't. And I'm like, what is going on here? She makes notes. She sends me in to see the doctor. And he says, I see that you have 4 complaints and they're all related. And I'm going, wait a minute.
I haven't said anything.
Headaches, neck ache, neck pain, recurring bladder infections, and constipation I had my whole life.
Yeah.
It's all part of the history intake. And he goes, they're all connected. And I'm going, okay, you guys are quacks because you
Yeah.
know that this is up here and that's down there, right? Anyways, he does his chiropractic thing, and then he reassessed all the unlocked muscles that I had, and they all locked. And when he tested them, I felt a surge of energy and vitality in my body. And I was like, wow, I want to do this when I grow up. And I asked him, what does it take to do what you do? And he's going, well, you've got to do 4 years of pre-med and the medical stuff. And then there's all the chiropractic and stuff on top of that. So, yeah, be like 12 years. And I'm going, I had no idea. Well, that's not for me because I'm working out in the oil field planning a family. So at some point, I took a golden handshake because it was the right time. Different situations were coming up in life, and I ended up moving to the lower mainland of Canada here on the wet coast
Yeah.
outside of Vancouver. And I'm walking through the library and I see a sign saying learn muscle testing. And I went, I don't have to be a doctor to learn to do muscle testing. And that was it. I went down that rabbit hole. I went deep. I went wide. I've studied. I've counted up because you have to keep track of your stuff. Over 2,600 hours of sitting in classes, never mind learning and mastering all that information by running a clinic and teaching. And so that's where I went. And then one day somebody's going, this stuff when you teach a class 1 weekend at a time, and you're trying to pull the group together, and then you're trying to get them together for level 2 the following month, and then on and on and on. This can be done online. And I'm like, no, it can't. It's always been done in person. So I accepted the challenge, created this program, and got it recorded. And I went, oh, I never have to teach those basics like that ever again, weekend after weekend, level 1 stuff
Yeah.
and level 2 stuff. It's all pre-recorded. Now people watch the recordings and I get to show up and mentor them. So once a week I show up, different batch of eyeballs in the room asking different questions. And I'll say, this is how you apply it if you're a massage therapist. And if you're a reflexologist or you're a physiotherapist, think about combining these things this way for that challenge that you say you're, Mrs. Smith is showing up with whatever. How would you approach it with muscle tuning? So I just shine there. That's what I want to do. I want to show up on a platform, share, so that people can feel better.
Well, and I want to add because you can put stretch labs in your thing of reaching out to those people that know the body, right? Because
Yeah, they
all
have a
this.
system. I've been watching them on Facebook.
Okay, well, I don't know. I just know I have a friend in Detroit area who just like won't give up her stretch lab guy for nothing, right? And so I'm like, interesting. I like,
Well,
yeah,
I used to go to chiropractic. I'd have to stretch it out on the budget for every 3 weeks. And then it got to every 6 weeks once I started doing the stuff. And now that I've been teaching the stuff and applying it more on myself, I might go once or twice a year just because I want to support my local guy and
yeah,
say hi, what's new with you and your mom and your kids.
yeah. Well, and it's funny you say that because I was the same way. I was like going all the time, and I think partially because it was like they're the only people I could see in person, like a few years back, and I was like, and then I'm like, wait a minute, I can't come this often. Like this is nuts. I like you, but I gotta leave you. But it's true though, right? When you start really connecting with the body and hearing what it's actually saying,
Yeah,
you
when you
can.
clear the issue at the source instead of, oh, you got a pain. Do you know how many shoulders I fixed by not touching the shoulder?
I know.
I work usually on something in the lower leg.
Yeah.
And people go, and you didn't touch my shoulder. And I go, yeah, you just wait. And at the end of the session, they stand up and off the massage table and they go, I don't know why that worked. And I go, it's how your body's wired. You have to be able to read how
Yeah.
this, and you and I both know a fellow, and I did a thing for him online. I do lots of online work, and he goes, you're psychic. I'm going, no, I'm not.
I'm reading your body.
I'm observant and I understand there's patterns that you're not aware of, but I'm trained to know there's patterns.
Well, and it's interesting too because everyone, like, well, not everyone, but there's a lot of talk about the book, The Body Keeps the Score. And I'm saying you don't even have to read that book. Like it's a good book, but it's quite dark, in my
Oh, I've
opinion,
never read it. I've heard it about
right?
it.
But the thing is that your body is always talking to you. We got to slow down enough to actually listen. To say,
And then what?
by the time your shoulder's hurting, your knee, foot, toe has been screaming for years.
Maybe,
Well,
maybe not.
yeah.
You can have a sprained ankle from when you were 8 years old.
Hmm.
That's dry, and it your foot looks and operates apparently perfectly well,
Hmm.
but there's a ligament or a tendon in there that ain't happy. And
Hmm.
every time you take a step, it drives a signal, and your shoulders, like every time that foot does a certain thing, your shoulders going, yeah, no. It's like, it's not, because we're all supposed to, like when you walk, there's a
Hmm.
pattern when you walk, your opposite arm, your opposite leg, you're striding,
Hmm.
it's all natural. But when there's an injury somewhere, you compensate.
Hmm.
And then the things get blocked and you
Hmm.
don't, it's like a, I don't know why I want to say this, but it's like a whip, until you give it the flick, you don't get that satisfying click at the
Hmm.
end,
Hmm.
right? The sound, the result. And I don't mean, I've never used the analogy of a whip before, but our bodies have this wave that
Yeah.
you don't even, we all walk like ducks, like pigeons. We do. We all walk like pigeons. You just don't know it, but our bodies are subtly doing that your head is wired to part down here and this part of the neck is wired to part down there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I love what you're saying about be attentive, listen, and do something before the 2x4 comes and hits you upside the head.
Well, and it's interesting because I did a lot of work in the psychosomatic healing realm. Um, and like, you have the plumb line, right? So anyone listening, is like you stick a string up on the roof and then you make sure your spine's aligned to the plumb line. And and it was amazing how many times the teacher would go, "This class is a bunch of chickens." And we go,
Oh,
"What's he talking about?" Because you go to the plumb line and their head's so far ahead of the plumb line, but their shoulders are on the plumb line, right? And it's also part of being too far into the future,
could be.
right? Because if your head's not settled in your shoulders, you're too far in the future, right? And I can tell, like, I'll be walking along and I'm like, "Ooh, there's an early walker." And then my friends are like, "What?" And I go, "Well, look how bold their legs are. They're in such a hurry to stop crawling to walk. Their little bodies couldn't support. So they bow their legs to support, right?" And it's just, and it's interesting because I thought for sure I was going to say going down that road until my body started saying, "Nah, body work is not your thing." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And I went into the more the energetics of the soul. But anyways, it's about you. Um, so it's interesting that you were a major reader because we never know what in our younger life helps us in our older life. Like I was saying before we got in the call, like I'm jealous how you can put manuals together because I self-criticize my writing so much that it actually inhibits my writing, right? And then I see like when we'll have a call or whatever, and it's got these beautiful binders, all tabs, and I'm like, maybe one day. But I think because you said like your older siblings would give you all this material and you'd take it in and you'd read it and you'd read it, you had to start getting that organizational piece in there, or else you'd be on overwhelm as a child. So it would have kept you stuck to even start even moving into any of this work. What do you think about?
Well, I just, my reading was very eclectic. I mean, we had the junior encyclopedia for some reason at my house. I have no idea. So sometimes I dip into that just for fun.
Well,
And then
that was
there
our
was some cool
research.
stuff with experiments,
Yeah,
and I was really into experiments. And, besides that, of course, I read Nancy Drew and the Hardy Boys, and there's a lot of stuff in there about problem solving and
hmm,
being curious. And you don't even realize it because you're just reading a story, but it shows you that some people can do that. And if some people can do it, why can't I? So
yes,
that's just subliminally installed on some level. And I could have just read comic books because I got exposed to comic books too. And nothing against, what are they called now? Graphic novels or something.
yeah. I never
But
liked them.
I would enjoy them because they'd be laying around. They were a change. But it was just, I was a voracious reader.
Yeah,
And I never forget my brother taking me to the library one day. And I'm going, how many can I take out? He says, I don't know. Let's go ask the librarian.
yeah,
And I'm this little girl and I had little pigtails.
yeah,
And I'm going, excuse me, how many books can I borrow? She looked at me and she says, how many can you carry?
yeah,
And I went, it's like at school, you're only allowed to borrow one or two, right?
yeah.
And so my brother was just busting a gut watching me literally up to my chin with books. And he would drive me to the library every week. And
Wow.
every Saturday, we went to the library and he would help me pick out, oh, this was a good book. I remember reading this when I was young, right? And let me pick what I wanted. And I would read everything by the next Saturday and return all those books and start all over again. And I'll never forget, just lying out in the grass under the shade of the cherry blossom trees and reading, and in the summer sitting on the swing. And
Uh, But
yeah, like I
but
said, I was
also,
kind of shut in a little bit as a child. So my mom didn't want me watching a lot of TV. We had a really lousy black and white little piece of junk that
which you didn't want to watch anyways. But I look at that story as what amazing bonding time you had with your brother,
Oh, absolutely.
right? And so it like and that's what I love about this journey we call life is that you just never know where the nugget of gold is. Because if you guys had TV like we have today,
Ah,
you wouldn't have been going to the library. You wouldn't have had that relationship with your brother. You wouldn't have, enjoyed that time under the blossom tree. Like, yeah, like, and
it's
it's
different. I see kids and families still going to the local library, and I love going to my local library, and I just sit there and I work. Instead of going to the coffee shop, I take my laptop up there because I love the vibe. I love being the energy of the books around me or something. And
yeah,
but I do see families and they're enjoying it. And when I see the little girls coming out with their armful of books, I just smile. But really, um, yeah, things are different.
yeah. Like I
And
used to like going to the library, and now it's the playground zone. Can't stand it.
oh, oh, that's too bad. No, ours
Bad.
is still fairly quiet in most
No,
spots.
no, we're allowed to have a playground, and it's right beside a high school, so all the high school kids come in,
Yeah.
right? And just their chit chatter, it's like the volume goes up. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
but
and
it's
you
good.
can,
Like,
and they have different semesters where they've got lunch starts at 10 o'clock in the morning for some of them and goes through till 2.
yeah,
But last year I got nominated for an honorary doctorate. And
oh,
when I accepted my doctorate, I was crying because I was thanking my sister for teaching me how to read with Dr. Seuss. And I was
oh
thanking
yeah.
my brother for taking me to the library. I still get choked up about it.
And then like, there's so many of us that were brought up on Dr. Seuss, and then they're trying to ban them, and I'm like, you can't ban Dr. Seuss. Are you joking? But in saying this, so many parents were so smart for these graduates in the last few years that they had a Dr. Seuss book, The Places We Will Go, and every teacher signed a page for their entire 12-year school. I'm like, you can't put a price on that,
That's
right?
so amazing.
Yeah, and it was like, yeah, like I used to see the reels of randomly of like, you know, that was her present or his present from his journey through school before he went to college. And I think that's just beautiful, right? And then, like, it's interesting too, because it also brings you back to when you get to choose the book you read, then your imagination can take you anywhere. Because I know with me, like, I'd say something, and my parents or whoever's with me, they're going, "Where'd you learn that word?" Because I used to like big words, right? I could
Yeah.
say them, but I could never read them. And I go, "Well, I saw it in this book," and they'd say, "We're excited that you're learning that word, but you used it in the wrong context." And I go, "What does context mean?" Right? Because as a dyslexic, I love to read, but I sometimes took the whole story and made it my
Yep.
own. Right? Because it's like, well, I read it this way. And I even do this today. I'll read emails and I'm like, did I see that right? I don't think so.
Yeah, it's a challenge. I work with people with neurological challenges, and one of the courses I've taken, it is literally about wiring up the departments in the brain, the cortical units that work things out.
Hmm.
And there are people, when I say it was a dark, stormy night,
Hmm.
they go, yeah. And I go, does that give you a feeling? No, it was a dark and stormy night,
And I'm like right in there. It's all
right?
dark, stormy. I don't like it, but okay, it's a story.
And there are people, they literally hear, like, here's a phrase. Did you grow up with this one? Just wait till your father gets home.
Yeah. No, not
That's,
so much.
but not much, but it was common in our generation because of our age, right?
Well, it was more my house. It was more like, oh, your dad's out of town this week. Where do you guys want to go for dinner?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because it's
So
like mom's taking the night off.
I've been there. I've done that
Yeah.
once or 5,000 times.
Yeah.
There are kids who just hear, just wait till your father gets home.
Yeah.
And they go, oh, cool. When daddy gets home, we usually will play on the floor for a few minutes before dinner.
Yeah.
And they cannot interpret the tone. Just you wait till your father gets home. It's just words. And so it is really interesting to learn that people have different processing styles. And I've been blessed with amazing models for instructors in the work that I've taken. They
Hmm.
understand there are the learners, and there's the school teachers are supposed to know this, and some of them are very good at applying this knowledge, and other aren't. Some children and adults, let's just call it some individuals,
Hmm.
learn best when they hear you explain it. They're auditory, and they need to hear they don't need to see the demonstration. They get it. The demonstration confuses them. Just outline it: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those are the steps. Go do it. Other people have to see the demonstration and they have to do it to figure it out themselves. And other people just need to see, right? They learn by seeing,
Yeah.
um, or by the doing. So the auditory, kinesthetic,
Yeah.
visual, all that, right? And I've been blessed with instructors who address all those learning styles when they teach. And when I teach my people, I model a lot of that. And people go, wow, you're a good teacher. And I'm going, I've been blessed with good models.
Hmm.
Just because to me it makes sense. And I have been blessed when I have done assessments for what's your style, what's your strongest style. It was I was even across the board: visual, auditory, kinesthetic. But then there's this other one called auditory digital, where you think about something and then you make a feeling about what you're thinking about, and then you think about it some more. And
Interesting.
that one was like in the basement. And I'll never forget a lunch I went to. Somebody says, why are you studying this thing? Right. And it's like, well, don't you see when you're working with your clients doing this system that they just kind of drift away? They kind of like they just seem like to drift away. Don't you see that? And screaming, no. And then, well, don't you hear them getting quieter and quieter until like they're not even responding anymore? And no. Hmm. Well, don't you just feel something different when you're working with them, that, when you're testing their muscles and doing whatever, that something's just changed? And they're going, no. And this woman is literally fist on the table, leaning over, and
Oh
we're
my
at a big luncheon
gosh.
with a bunch of colleagues at this class, and everybody's going, what's going on there? And the very next weekend, I took a class where I learned about the auditory digital processing style. And
Hmm.
I went, she's 100% that.
Yeah.
I needed to talk to her in the language of, when you do your work, do you understand that people are accepting the work, blah, 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 in
Yeah.
a certain way? Well, yes. And would you consider that different approaches suit different people? Well, yeah. So there's certain language.
Hmm.
Instead of don't you see, don't you feel, don't you hear, there's language for the other one. So I had to study a new language. And since then, I'm a little bit more balanced dealing with anybody. But it's hysterical that people walk around in the world and they think everybody else is like them, and they're not. And I think that that's why there's so much of this going on these days, because they're going,
Oh,
don't you feel this, don't you feel this, don't you feel this? And the other person's going, I haven't got a clue what you're feeling. What's feeling about? What's connection? What's whatever?
well,
What
and it's
I see is
interesting
this.
that you're saying that because So, so when I was trying to figure out what this new company was going to do and blah, it's like, whatever, right? And then people kept on saying, I don't know, like you just see things differently. And I'm like, oh, lighthouse. Okay, cool. And then, and then, um, just like earlier this month, I was in a sound bath workshop, and she said something about finding your true guidance. And I didn't remember she said it because I had to actually phone her after and saying, what is this what we found? And my essence is all about the sunshine and how the waves lap the shore. And I went, well, of course my company's a lighthouse because the dancing waves are coming in the sunshine. And so when people like when I say like why do people come to me as a client? Well, they're coming because I just hold the space. I don't have to say a word. And now like how you teach is like you'll listen to how they're speaking and you find the rhythm and the balance of how they'll hear it. Right? And it's so interesting at the time of this taping that we're coming into the spring equinox because it is the balance that we're trying to get. It's not right or left, black or white. It's finding that equilibrium of the flow in the balance of it might be a dark, stormy night, but it also might be a clear bluebird sky, right? What are you focusing on to move forward with?
Well, you're reminding me about a conversation I had in one of my very first podcasts, and I knocked the socks off my host. And I said, so many of us are looking at what we don't want.
Mm-hmm.
Don't want pain,
Keep
don't want
creating it.
stress at work, don't don't want interpersonal relationship baloney, don't want poor communication, don't want. Says, but the thing is what you don't want's infinite. It
Mm-hmm.
really can be infinite what you don't want.
Mm-hmm.
How about you start focusing on what you do want? Because pulling yourself toward the direction of what you want is a heck of a lot easier than trying to push yourself out of the water of a pool. Because, pushing on the surface of the water ain't going to get you nowhere.
And
I don't
God,
want to be in the
source,
pool anymore.
universe.
It's like, no, well, there's the stairs. There's the
Yeah.
ladder. Go. It's way easier.
I know, but this is where people get messed up. It's like, but I don't want that. And I said, but the universe doesn't understand negatives. So every time you say, I don't want to be standing in the rain anymore, it's going to rain harder. Well, that doesn't make sense. I go, but it does because you say you don't want it. And so the universe goes, oh, you want more? Okay. You know,
Well, it comes down to a more practical level than that. Is people literally don't hear the don't. I don't want. They hear I do want. In your unconscious mind. So if you've
mm,
studied anything along those lines, your unconscious mind cannot process a don't. So it is hearing I do want my need to stay in pain. I do want to keep fighting with my coworkers. And people are going, but I don't. And it's just think about this for a second. Just phrase it differently what you do want, see how your world changes.
well,
And
yeah.
people are shocked. Sometimes people, it takes them weeks, months, sometimes years to finally go, I finally got it.
Yeah. And the the fact that we are putting less emphasis on the spoken word going forward, it's going to be huge because
By
you're going,
that,
huh?
I don't understand less emphasis on the spoken word because I'm being told, do videos. People need to hear you. And everybody online, only people are looking for videos. They're looking for auditory. What?
No.
So what do you mean that
Social
there's less
media wants
emphasis?
videos,
Oh, okay.
right?
What's the emphasis?
The
Less emphasis
emphasis
now.
on global unity is it doesn't matter if we speak the same language, we will understand each other by our gestures. Like a mother will always find a mother if the child is in need. Your instincts of motherly things will find that child in need. They don't need to speak the language because over the centuries of all the languages, they've been suppressed. We've forgotten how to read the hieroglyphs. We've forgotten how to speak the native tongue. Right? And when you think about it, 7% of communication is the spoken word. We're speaking in gestures in our body language. We're speaking in our faces as we go. That was dumb, right? Like we don't have to say the words. Like it's just like, you know, and I'm so guilty of this. I'll go shopping with friends to for clothes or whatever. I'm just sitting there minding my own business, and some stranger comes out of the change room, and my face speaks 1,000 times before I know it's working. And they're like, "No," and I went, "Look, no." Right? Like so, and I'm aware of that, right? Because I've taken classes in face reading and stuff. So I'm aware that my face will speak a lot faster than my words. And so we have to be conscious of that. So as we're saying, we don't want to fight with our coworkers anymore. Build the stuff in you that you love your coworker. They're only trying to do their best, just as you're trying to do your best. Get that feeling, get that centered groundedness, which a lot of your work is that before you even tune the muscles. It's like, what are you looking for before we tune you? If you're looking for more negative, I might not be the right tuner for you, right? Like, because there are tuners that will keep you in the dark. And so it's being more aware of the tapes that are playing and saying, stop, thanks for sharing. Because we have to be present to manifest, create, evolve as these human beings.
So that makes me think about so many individuals are so comfortable staying in their parameter, their limits.
Mm-hmm,
They might not be totally happy,
mm-hmm,
but if they get really unhappy, they find a way to bounce up a little bit more.
mm-hmm.
But if they allow themselves to be in a really positive state, they can't handle that. And they have to do something, sabotage themselves or put somebody down or put themselves down to come back into this really low level, small range of response. And life's pretty vanilla. Well, vanilla is very, very tasty. Vanilla ice
Yeah,
cream is
but
very,
I
very
think
tasty, but you wouldn't want to have it every single day of the year. Wouldn't you like to experience, some of the 51 flavors of Baskin and Robbins, or, there's other places that have more, but
yeah, but I think that's changing because we're all being stepped up to be our true authentic self, and and the Hawkins scale talks a lot about that, right? Like he talked about if we could only get everyone vibrating at love, we would have a totally different world.
indeed,
And love is only halfway up the scale.
it's not, it's still pretty low end
I
compared
know,
to,
but when you think about if love is your baseline and 80% of society is under love, that vanilla space could be like still 200 points under love, which is crazy, right? And then even the ones that are whether whether you believe in reincarnation or whatever, it doesn't matter. Oh, I'm never coming back to this crazy world. Guess what? The more you keep saying that, the you're first in line to come back because the people who are doing their work are joyous. They'll come back. This life isn't hard. I'll come back and help other souls to grow and expand and to bring their vibration up. because they're not stressing of the everyday little nuances. They're in their flow.
What about all the people who get up in the morning, they drive to work, they do their work, they drive home, and they do their evening thing? And they rinse and repeat, do it all over again. And most weekends are a carbon copy of the last weekend. How many people are going through the motions to get food on the table, gas in the car, get shoes on the kids, get the kids out to their events, and are not growing?
Well, yeah, I understand people have gotten disconnected, but it's also pick up a book. While your kid's at soccer, watch in between reading the book. Go explore through a book. Read it, like flip through a magazine, right? Stop the
Listen to a
scroll.
podcast like yours.
Yeah. Stop the scrolling. And trust me, I'm a great scroller, but it's like, oh my gosh, like the what, you know? But the thing is that to have more, to see the awareness that more is coming in to be had, you have to change something. And it might be a 2 minute thing in the morning, or just being grateful before your eyes close for everything good, bad, or indifferent in the day. Because as our awareness rises, so do the blessings and the gifts keep showing up, right? And like this one drives me nuts with women. When men go to open the door for them and their response is, "You don't think I can open my door?" And the
You're
men are
teaching that guy
responding,
not to be polite.
"I know." And the men are saying, "I'm just I'm just offering." Because I say to them, "Never stop being a gentleman. There's a lot of boys around."
The boys need to watch somebody doing it right.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not that a woman's weak and can't open the door. Ladies,
But
when
they've
a gift
gotten
is
that.
offered to you,
Yeah.
doesn't matter if it's another woman opening the door or a man or a gorilla. It's like, wow, somebody's opened the door. I get to walk right through with, without any effort.
Yeah.
Take it
Well,
as a gift.
and even at the grocery store the other day, I was flying in, doing my thing, and I went to this till, and she was gruff. And I go, "Oh, hi, how are you?" And she's like, "Fine." I go, "Cool." Right? And I just started talking, and then, I'm loading up my groceries or whatever, and she says, "Can I say something to you?" And I go, "Sure." And she goes, "Thanks for making my day by being the best customer." I go, "Thank you." I said, "That's awesome." And and she says, "Because I know I greeted you gruff because you're my last customer." And I said, "Have an awesome day." Right? Because I could have responded back nasty, but
Yeah.
that's not me.
I heard a very similar story a little while ago. Husband and wife were going through the till, and the wife is just like, "Oh, be like, you can't be you. Come on, let the poor woman relax," or whatever it was.
Yeah.
He was joking and doing all
Yeah.
kinds of stuff and looking at her and saying, like, "I appreciate you being at work today. Thank you." Like
Yeah.
being polite, but also he's a little bit odd, and he loves being identified as different.
Yeah.
But anyways, he said that that woman looked him in the eyes and almost, well, she did kind of have a few tears. She said, "Thank you. You're so kind. You have no idea what's going on in my world right now. Thank you for being
Just need the
nice."
laughter. And
Because
here's
so many people are just like, "Hurry up, move faster, don't make a mistake." Oh, and they treat like they don't even look at them.
yeah.
And I've gone through the stupor store where I'm just busy putting my stuff through and putting them in the bag and doing the card and not even looking at the poor cashier sometimes.
Yeah.
I would never be able to pick them out of a lineup. Sorry, I'm busy. I'm in my world, got to get home, got to do the dinner, thinking a million things in my head. What is the value in being present?
Yeah. Well, and I think that's the biggest thing we could learn over the last few years is that when a crisis happens, a flood, a fire, or whatever, nature, who are you gonna call? If it's not your neighbors that are going through the same thing. So why not in good times, in sunny days, knock on your neighbor's door and say hi? Because I know people that have lived in areas for 15 years and don't know, could not even know their car, let alone what they look like. And I'm like, that's nuts. Like I'm out every day. Everyone knows me. I might not know you specifically, but everyone knows me because I'm out walking every day. You know. But it's even like speaking of the reels, like on on the Australian Voice, a dad went and auditioned. Right. He's a mailman or something, and his daughter was watching, and they said sorry for not turning. And he goes, no, I just wanted to show my daughter that you get back up after you get a no. Because she's a singer, but she's been having some tough times. And then so they let her come and audition on a different day, different time, whatever, and it's got a four-chair turn. And then all of a sudden, the one judge is looking. He goes, "Wait a minute, I remember you." And he goes, "Yeah." Like, and then they felt really bad that they didn't turn for him. He goes, "That wasn't the point." And then the other judge says, "But I think you lied to us." And the dad's like, "I didn't lie." He goes, "You said she was kind of good. She's fantastic." Right? But he said it was the lesson. Like he didn't care if he got picked or not. He's got his life. He's like, older, but he didn't want his daughter, who has a fantastic voice, to think she couldn't go anywhere. And I think that's where, as humans who are definitely chosen for a reason to be here at this time on earth, if all you have to give somebody is a smile or a hello, do it. Don't wait for them to do it first because you don't know if that's going to make their day.
I I ran into an older fellow at a network event.
Mm-hmm.
Seemed like he had a lot of life experience. And he was offering people, just come visit, we'll have a chat, and maybe I can help you in your life or your business. And I was like, me? I'll go.
Mm-hmm.
And so we visited quite a bit. And one of, I think, the third meeting we had, he said, do you ever walk? And I'm going, yeah. He says, you go for walks. I says, yeah. He says, I want you to do something. I says, what? He says, I want you to look, everybody you meet on the street, I want you to look at them in the eyes and smile.
Mm.
And I went, okay. So this guy has studied like esoteric Eastern stuff, went to India for a while, did all that stuff,
Yeah.
right? So I did this. And then the next week, I look at him and I said, okay, I did it. Can you tell me now why?
Mm-hmm.
And he said, you might have saved somebody's life.
Yeah.
And I went, oh, because we are disconnected. One of the words that we said earlier, we're busy living our lives, not being present, whatever you want to call what's going on. Scrolling, not looking up. And there's a great picture in our newspaper a couple of years ago. There's a guy on a sailboat. He's on his phone and he's scrolling like this, and everybody's yelling. There's this whale that's breaching in front of
Oh
him.
no.
And it's like there's this whole thing is happening in front of him, and he's sitting away looking at
Missing
his
it.
phone. He totally missed the whole show.
So, see, this is what's so interesting. I love to drive. I don't I hardly drive anymore, but I love to drive. And then people are like, "Oh, what podcast do you listen to when you drive or what music?" And I go, "Silence." What? I go, "Silence." Cuz when I'm on the road, it's my time, right? Like just block out the noise. And it was interesting because I remember I was with a friend, this is years ago, and we had gone to the psychic fair, and this lady comes flying up to me, right? And she grabs me by the shoulder, and I'm like, hello? And she goes, you have to go out of town. And I go, all right. She goes, no, you're not understanding. You have to go to town. Like, leave now and go to town. And I go, I've heard you. I said, but I'm with my friend right now. You know, and she goes, you're not listening to the message. And I said, I've heard the message. Thank you for sharing. And I walk away, right? And my friend looks at me and he goes, what was that about? And I go, I don't know. But I heard her message and let's carry on our day. And and I got home later that night and I got a phone call from my family saying, can you do us a favor? Can you take the mountain run tomorrow? And I'm like, sure. So I got out of town in my quiet, just and it was I obviously needed it because I came home and my head was clear and I'm like, I thanked her for the message energetically because she was right. I need to get out of town. I didn't know how it was going to happen. I didn't go into all that. I just, thanks for the message.
I'm not going to panic and leave
Yeah.
town without packing a bag right this second.
Well, no, but it wasn't like I couldn't see how it was happening. So I was going to finish my day. Like, you know,
Well, bringing this interview or conversation back to the beginning,
mm-hmm,
part of the reason Muscle Tuners is existing
mm-hmm,
is I was at an international New Age trade show with a
okay,
colleague,
okay,
and it was go meet the author, get a book signed, get a free book. And this was an interesting person. So we were in lineup, and my friend's ahead of me, and she gets this book signing, and the woman looks at her and she says, the angels are saying, get on with it. And she's going, what? The angels are saying, get on with it. And she's going, and then she went on about some stuff
mm-hmm,
like, hello. And then she laughed and she says, oh, I know what's going on. This project I started, she's carrying on. The message is for her. And then the woman like looks at me and I step out from behind my friend. She goes, oh, and then she went on and gave a message and it was hysterical. And she says, the angels are saying it's enough, get on with it.
mm-hmm,
And I was at a stage in writing the manual for my program, my flagship program, and I had to make it perfect. And it went through about 40 edits. And it was just like, it's good enough. Go. It's needed now. It's been needed for a long time.
mm-hmm,
Release it. Like the angels want to help you.
yeah,
Just do it. And it was just so descriptive. It wasn't a generic message. Like,
mm-hmm,
I'm sorry, there are some really good psychic people out there, and there are a lot of people who are making a living at reading cards or whatever.
mm-hmm. Yeah, but some card readers are good and some are trash.
Well, some of them are like
Yeah.
really right on. So I don't make a habit of hanging out and visiting psychics and stuff. I've had a tiny bit of experience, but this was so on target,
Mm-hmm.
specific. It wasn't about any old project, it was about this project.
Well,
And
and
so that's partly why here I am and stepping into my authority. Why do I want to use that word? I've always okay, muscle tuning. It's a structural thing. It's a body thing. It's a physical thing. I'm really good at aligning bodies, muscles, tendons, ligaments, doing all that and teaching other people to do it, and then inviting them to come more into another realm. And part of the reason why we get such great results with the bodies is that there are release points for emotions. So before we got on the call, you were talking about something, and a common phrase is the issues in the tissues.
Oh yeah.
So there's a way of the body keeps the scores, and that
Yeah.
was the book you were
Yeah.
talking about as well. So the body does keep the score. It stores unprocessed, unresolved emotions, thinking it's doing you a favor and piling it on your shoulder or whatever. And one day you just can't anymore. So there are release points that you can use that lighten that up. And I've seen people with frozen shoulder go like that in a single session, like in minutes sometimes.
Yeah.
And so, okay, there's the emotional thing. Now I've come out and broken a piece of my program out to offer the world in general for emotional relief and getting to the source of it and not just hoping for the best and reading a script and doing this
Yeah.
process. And then there's the part where it took me a while to accept a collaboratorship with somebody that works in vibrational healing, which I
Mm.
use in my personal clinic all the time. But I'm going, I am, president of Muscle Tuners International, and we work on tuning up bodies. And what business have I got owning up to the fact that I work with vibration when I'm working one-on-one with people? So this collaboration, it makes a trifecta and it brings the balance into my business
Yeah.
of body, emotions. So the physical level, emotional level, and the soul level. And
But
there
as
you go.
knowing your partner, um, like I see it as it brought structure to her, like with you joining her, and she brought like it's not that serious, man. Like back to you because it got you out of the it has to be perfect,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I think together you guys are a dynamic duo. So it's like, yeah. And yeah. Um so and it's very cool because I think by bringing in the essences, it it lightens the shift. Like you're saying like okay, this person's coming in with a frozen shoulder. It's been painful, it's been hurting. It's like what is it? And you're saying, well, this energy's stuck in here. Let's move it out. And they're going, I don't know if I'm ready to. And then it's like spray, 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 boom. And they're like, what? What? I can just move. What? So it takes the fear out of their body that you might hurt them, right? And it lightens the energy to just I'm done with it.
Thank you.
Yeah, like it's just because when someone's been hurt for so long sometimes that it's like there people actually get scared to release the pain because what is it going to be like if I don't have to protect my shoulder, right?
Bingo.
Yeah.
I
And
can't remember not being like this. It's been like this for so many years.
yeah.
And it's crazy. People will say, like, I don't mean crazy as in, you need to be in an institution. It is a really interesting phenomenon where people get to a point where they go, I want to be well. I want to be fully functional.
Hmm.
But when we muscle test, we can find out that there's another program running in the background going, no, you don't.
Hmm.
There's some benefit to you not having this, that, or the other thing.
Absolutely.
You don't have to do the grocery run anymore, or you don't have to do this, or you get more attention,
Hmm.
or. And people go, no.
There's a
But on some
payoff every
level,
time.
there is a payoff to holding on, whether it's a pain, a pattern, a behavior, and it takes energy.
Hmm.
I took a class about how fast your brain bounces, and if you're in an emotion for longer than something like 7 seconds,
Hmm.
it's a choice
Hmm.
because you're wired to go and go, okay, I recognize it, not important, throw it out, or, ooh, that leads to another. And whether it takes you deeper down the hole or pulls you out into the light, it's a choice. And I had this experience once where I decided, I had every right reason to be really, 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 really angry. Kids had done something and they were going to learn a lesson back to wait till your father gets home. Never mind. You're going to pay
Yeah.
right now. And I was trying to hold on to my anger. And then I realized the kids started looking at me funny because I couldn't. And I'm making things up about why I was angry. And it started getting stupid and silly. And it got to the point where everybody was just laughing and going, okay, I guess I'm not angry anymore. But I really tried to stay angry for like 2 minutes. It was really hard because anger is not my default. It used to be. I used to be able to be angry for weeks on end.
Oh yeah.
But it's
But then
interesting
again,
that
I think
it's
that's lifting too.
choice.
Yeah.
It's literally a choice, and people call me crazy, and I'll accept that label. Um, and one day you might recognize that, oh, the depression is a bit of a choice, maybe.
It's a deep rest. Your body's
Say that
saying,
again, spell that because I didn't come through.
so your body is saying that it's out of balance. I need a deep rest so you can recalibrate to move forward. But
It
what
can be.
happens is people run to the doctor, I'm depressed, get on the meds, and it screws them up.
Um, I I got trained by a guy that was a biologist and a gerontologist. He had 5 degrees. He was super smart, man, and so wonderful. What a great human. And he said, do you know what depression is? And everybody's like, well, you're really sad and everything. He says it often comes from disconnection or feeling lost.
Hmm.
And he explained biologically, like the little chicks, when mother goes out of the nest to go do whatever, and the little chicks are going beep.
Yeah.
And when they finally get silent and they go like, they look depressed,
Yeah.
they've given up on mom coming home. They've lost mom. And this is common across the animal kingdom, and we are animals. And I thought, that's an interesting concept. So let me throw that out for people who might be doing depression. Are you depressed? Do you need meds, or do you need to plug in somewhere and feel that you're part of a family, part of a community, that you have value at work, you have worth to contribute?
Well, I'll just take it one step further, schizophrenia. They're now coming back saying, is it really schizophrenia? Or are these people so highly evolved that they're going in their sleep into the other worlds and bringing back information? So those people that have been locked up for years with schizophrenia actually don't need the label. They're highly advanced, and we should ask them what are they learning from the other planets that can help us in this crazy world that we're living in right now. I'm not saying
Excuse
it's right.
me.
I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying interesting,
Yeah,
right?
there's a possibility. I mean, there's a nutritional component.
Yeah,
They've taken a whole bunch of people that were diagnosed as schizophrenic and gave them B vitamins and green vegetables or whatever,
and
and they're
vitamin
back to
D.
normal.
Yeah.
But there are biochemical imbalances in the brain for sure. And I've seen people that are incredible creatives.
Yeah.
They're somewhere else. They're not in the 3D world. They absolutely aren't. And then when they've got the thing, the concept, the pulled together out there,
Hmm.
they come back here and then they can make it happen here in the 3D world. It's really fascinating. There are certain people like that. And I was just talking to somebody else this morning, a very well respected woman, bit of a nut job, really, because I've seen her at international conferences. And once she was a presenter, and she stops mid word, never mind mid sentence, and she's getting a message.
Yeah.
And and I've literally seen another fellow, he was teaching and he stopped in the middle of the class. And if I could see the crown chakra, it was as if the crown chakra was opening up and he was and this guy, what is one of the most prolific people in his domain, incredibly prolific. And to watch a message drop in related to what he was teaching, and he was like, oh, that's a new bit, right?
Yeah.
Save that and then carry on. It's odd, but we're
It's
all
not.
odd in our own ways. And we need to live up to that and accept the messages. And intuition's so key. Once I was driving and I had the green light, I was approaching an intersection. It was green for several hundred meters before I got to the intersection. And a couple hundred meters before I went, this is a great place for an accident, is what I heard in my head. And
Oh
like,
no.
what, what? And I took my foot off the gas for a few seconds, going, what? This is a good place for an accident? If I had not slowed down, I would have been T-boned. Somebody coming down the hill at a high speed, ran red light, didn't see the light, I would have been hit.
Yeah.
So my crown must have opened up and I received a message. And I'll never forget, it was in a certain tone. It wasn't really a whisper, it was just a tone.
Yeah.
Like that, it was my voice, but a certain tone. And if I ever get a message like that again, you bet I'll go
Well,
out of
but
town like right now if I get that message.
I know, but I've always said an accident is an incident waiting to happen. And an incident is happening because it's trying to wake you up to something bigger. Because I know, like one day I was like a little upset that my girlfriend couldn't go skiing. So I was going into work and I'm sitting at the light and all of a sudden, kaboom. And I went, really? And then she proceeds to say, oh, yeah, like I don't have the app on my phone. And I'm like, pardon? And she looked at me and I go, whose car is this? And she goes, my dad's. And I go, you have no insurance, Missy. And she goes, why? And I said, because you just told me you were on your phone. You have no insurance because you caused the accident. I said, wait till you got to tell daddy that one. Right?
Well, and now it's
And,
here
but the lesson
for
for
the whole
me
world to hear.
was, the lesson for me was, I was looking at the mountains going, damn, I wish I was turning right instead of going left. Yeah, I didn't go to work that day, but it wasn't because I was skiing. It was because I got in an accident. Right? And so it's in that split second as the accident is happening, what are you thinking? That's your wake up. Because why couldn't I just take a day off because I wanted a day off?
Well, I've
I
been known
didn't
to
need a
call into
reason.
work and say I had the runs and I went skiing.
Well, no, but you know what I mean? Like I should have just said like, like I just moved. I should have just said I need a day off. I just need to be at home to read whatever. But no, that's not me. I forced myself to work
Listen
and
to the
then I didn't.
messages.
Yeah. No,
Oh,
but and it's
and watch
true,
out
right?
for that lighthouse light that guide
Well,
you.
and it's interesting because I've been in a lot of accidents, but there's this guy like I'm changing lanes and he decides to change lanes without a signal light. I'm like, he right? Of course I get charged, whatever. And all of a sudden I'm just like, I don't want to do that job anymore. Bingo. Like, so I changed jobs. Like, right? Because it's like you have the clear path, but you're not taking it. So it's like, bing, take it. So I see that. What do you want people to know? We'll have all your information, how to get a hold of you, everything. What do you want people to know as we wrap up?
Okay. Trust yourself, develop confidence. Most of us are not doing brain surgery. We're not developing rocket for like scientific rocket experiments.
Yeah.
Make a decision based on gut, based on analytical, whatever, make a decision. Any decision you make pretty much can be undecided. But with that being said, there are three balls that we can juggle
Mm-hmm.
in life. And one of them could be a rubber ball. And when you're juggling and you drop the rubber ball, no problem, it bounces and it picks right back up into your hand like it never even dropped, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then there are balls that, let's say, they're just kind of soft, squishy balls, and they drop and they land on the floor. And now you're not juggling it anymore, but no harm, no foul. And some balls are made of crystal. And when you drop that ball, you'll never be able to put it back together the way it was. And in our lives, figure out which things are the crystal balls in our life. Think about those that you love, that maybe I'll do it tomorrow will be too late. Don't drop that ball. The dog that comes to greet you at the door when you come home and you ignore it because you're scrolling your phone as you're walking in the door, just broken your dog's heart.
Yeah.
Take that few seconds to greet it. It's been like going, it didn't know if you were going to come home today.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess I'll stop there. But whatever it is you're juggling in life, there are some things it's perfectly great to drop, and you should.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
others that you can drop temporarily, take the load off for a while, pick it up when you're ready. And then there are things that are precious. Don't juggle things that are precious. Treat them the
Yeah.
way they're meant to be treated.
Well, I just want to say thank you for coming on the show. This has been a wonderful conversation. And once again, this is an authentic conversation with Adele. Please subscribe and follow Denise. She's doing amazing work. So until next time.
Thanks for the visibility and opportunity to connect with your followers, Adele. You be great. And if you can't be great, be amazing.
Thank you. Well, I just want to do a little outtake with the call we had with Denise Cambiotti. It is just a pleasure to have her in my life. Her work is amazing. We talked about her business partner, which I'll have on the show later on, um, and how they collaborate together is fun, right? Like as we talked about in the show, it's like, yeah, Denise has the systems, and then Evelyn comes in and just like lightens the mood, and it's a great collaboration. I've done work with them for a long time, and this is what I love about this podcast and this show is the conversations are so authentic. And I will remind you to subscribe, like, and share. Also, if you're interested in knowing more about my personal work with transition clarity and how I hold sacred circles for you to walk yourself home as an intuitive guide and a soul strategist, I'd love to have a conversation with you. And this has just been fabulous to have you with us on this journey. So, once again, this is a authentic conversation. I'm your host, Adele Bernard, and today's guest was Denise Cambiotti. Until the next episode, have a great day.